Well, going from a global legend now, we're going to go to an Australian real estate legend. And when I think about a leading thinker and a strategist who is absolutely brilliant in the real estate market, it is none other than Mr. Tom Panos. Now, Tom is the real estate advertising director for News Limited. And put this into perspective, guys, that's 125 publications that he oversees and looks after. That means he is and has access to News Limited in terms of their research, their development. Definitely, I love the conversation that Tom has around being an attraction agent. He literally is an expert in this industry. Please tune in and listen to Tom Panos as he shares with you the strategies that's going to allow him to be allowed you to be hugely successful. Mr. Tom Panos. Hey.
All righty.
Welcome, Mr. Panos.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you so much.
Very good.
And you're doing a super job. And I'll be honest with you, they're the same strategy. I actually use those strategies myself, so that was quite correct as well.
Thank you, Carly.
So can I just get a show of hands if we've met before? Okay, thank you for not just leaving when Donald Trump finished his speech and hanging out. So I've got about half an hour. I'm going to try and condense everything that I want to say in half an hour. So it's going to be sort of the fast version of a presentation. So there's a good chance the feedback's going to say you talk too fast, but that's because of the time restraints. But I want to let you know that the first thing is I'm not a real estate agent. You need to know that. I'm an employee of News Limited. As Michael said, I oversee our products, which is about 125. We collect just under 300 million in print revenues. And we also own a 60% or thereabout interest in REA, but I'm more focused on our print products. So I wake up on Mondays, and generally the deal is about making sure that that money that is divided into 52 weeks of the year is roughly met. So I have a budget versus actual type job. I don't list or sell real estate. I'm not a trainer or a coach. As I've said, I've got a proper job that I do Monday to Fridays, right? So, and don't get me wrong, everyone's got proper jobs, but all I'm saying is today, all I'm saying is that I'm talking to you from someone that works at News Limited, right? I also run an auction business, and I finished my last auction yesterday at 3:30. I run generally about 10 or 11 most Saturdays. I'm on a great run at the moment. We're around the last 4 weeks, about 38 out of 40, which hasn't happened for ages. So I think definitely that the buyers under $1 million are kicking in. But I was doing an auction recently, and what happened is we had a situation where the reserve was 700,000. It stopped at 670, and I got to tell you, I was pretty excited because a reserve of 700 stopping at 670. Would you all agree it's pretty much going to come together? Hands up. Okay, sooner or later, buyer goes up, vendor goes down. After about a minute or two, what was interesting is the real estate agent came up to me and he said, "Tom, pass it in." I said, "Why?" I said, "So close, 30 grand, just let's do it." He said, "No, the buyer's a jerk." I said, "Right." He said, "You go talk to him." So I go over during the auction. I said, "Hi, I'm Tom, the auctioneer." He said, "Stiff shit." So you can imagine this is not going to be a, nice, fluid, long conversation. Oh, weather's good, yeah, this and that. It was like, I said, I'm going to show you the written reserve. You're going to have an opportunity to actually pay that figure, and you can buy this home. Here it is. I show it to him, 700 in writing. He looks at it. He said, "Stiff shit." I said, his name was Stefan. I said, "Stefan, do you want to buy the property?" He said, "Listen here. The marketplace is had it. The world economy is in a mess. Equities are down. Property prices are sliding. Unemployment is the worst it's ever been. Mortgage stress is at its highest." I've got to tell you, I got depressed listening to the guy. And he said, "It is disaster out there. You saw what's going on, and Greece has destroyed the whole world." At that point, he got personal. I said, "Stefan, I'd like to ask you this question. He said, don't ask any questions. I said, here's the situation. You've got an opportunity to buy the property. He said, listen, I'm going to be buying a property at the bottom of the market, full stop. I said, that's interesting. When will you know you'll be buying at the bottom of the market? I said, think about it. The only way we know the market has bottomed is when the market has gone up. But by that stage, it's too late because you'll be buying more than the bottom. But that's not your biggest problem, because what's an extra 20 or 30 grand on a house? Your biggest problem is when the market's going up. Guess what happens? There's less houses to pick from because there's a shortage of property. So this house that you'd like to buy today is probably not the house that you'll be buying when the market's going up. Said it gets worse. When the market's going up, interest rates go up because the Reserve Bank wants to slow the market down. So all of a sudden, you get locked in at a higher rate. So basically, you're paying more, you're not buying the house you want, and you're paying a higher interest rate. But before I go back to my auction stand, I'd like to ask you a question. You and your wife, she was pregnant, and she was sort of just stunned. I want to ask you, Stefan, do you want to buy a home for your family based on the market or based on your life? I walked away. The agent had a conversation with him. Shortly afterwards, he increased his offer to 680. The vendors accepted it, and the house got sold. I got into my car, and I drove off, and I began to realize that one of the critical behaviors of an agent in 2012 is the ability to use relevant 2012 language, not dialogue that was used in 2007, 2008. I'm talking about not using expired language. At one time, the language in 07, 08 was relevant. But like milk and bread, it has an expiry date. I left there and went to an auction where we had a situation, got to $1 million, and it was a good offer. The owner should have taken it. The vendor turned around and said, no, it has to be $1,050,000. The agent said, Tom, come in and have a chat. This guy was Greek, the vendor. But he was a nice guy. His name was Bill, and he actually said, Tom, I want to thank you so much. You gave the property a really good infomercial, and I appreciate it. But please don't push me, because I'm not prepared to sell at that figure. I said, Bill, it would be insulting for a real estate agent or an auctioneer to rock up for 5 minutes and come and tell you what you're going to do with the biggest asset that you own. I wouldn't even think about that. I'd like to ask you one question, and that is this. Are you the gambling type, or are you more conservative? He said, why do you ask? I said, very simple. Because if you're the gambling type, I suggest that I go back out there and I tell everyone this auction's cancelled and that everyone should leave. Alternatively, if you're more conservative, I suggest that we take his cash, $1 million. Cash is king. Koshy says it. Ross Greenwood says it. Cash is king. Take his $1 million, put it away in the bank, start getting 5%. If the market keeps trending down, guess what happened? He's got an asset that's trending down by 5%. He's taken on the risk. You've got his cash. That's the conservative thing to do. His wife says, sell it, take it. He says, we can't. Tom, I understand what you're saying, but I can't do that. And the simple reason is because we're buying another house. And the house that we're buying is in an area where houses are 1.4 million. We've been looking around. They're bigger blocks. And I said, Bill, here's the deal. Guess what? You know this house that you're going to go buy for 1.4? Well, that house, that vendor, a few years ago, he would have got 1.6 from you. But today, he's losing $200,000, but you're gaining it. On the same token, your house was worth $1,050,000 at one stage, but it's not now. So you're losing 50, but you're gaining 200. So in fact, right now, as an upgrader, it makes sense for you to make the move Are you going to make a decision based on the market or based on your life? And I've got to tell you, that came together, that property got sold, and I'm going to urge you that one of the critical behaviours that I want you to walk away from AREC to understand that, as Tom Ferry was talking about, language is powerful, it's very emotive, and that your job is not to be an email or a fax machine and just go from one person to another, but to actually add value and create urgency and pre-frame. It is a critical behaviour. And what I've done for you all is created the best scripts and dialogues out there that you can start using that are 2012 that we've tested in our real estate lab at News Limited. So I'll come back to that in a second, but I'd just like to run through these words, and don't be too worried about taking every word down, because this presentation is going to be all on tompanos.com.au. We will put it all up there and you can have the whole lot. You'll also get all the scripts and dialogues if you subscribe to the blog. And don't worry, we don't sell anything on that because I get paid enough from Rupert. There is no need for it, right? So there's no problems, just subscribe and we'll get the info there. And I'm going to use some dialogue and language that is very useful and emotive at the moment. The first one I'd like to talk to you about is, particularly I work in print publishing, is a lot of people say we don't need to advertise in the paper. Let's just put it quietly on the internet. And this is some good dialogue that I got from Kingsley Looker, who you're going to hear from over the next 2 days. The internet gets the intellect buyer, whereas print gets the passive aspirational buyer. Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, we need both. Oh, what do you mean by the intellect buyer? Very simple. An internet buyer is very rational. They sit on the website and they look at property after property and they become the best registered valuers in the suburb. And the problem is that they will offer a valuation price, a rational, intellectual price. We need the passive, aspirational buyer who buys from the heart. So, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, we need both the intellect buyer and the passive, aspirational print buyer. The next one is when you're at a listing presentation and you have a vendor that basically is looking for a cheap and nasty campaign. A beautiful thing I hear vendors hear from agents that are world class at getting VPA, getting 20 or 30 grand in vendor paid marketing is this. Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, do you want me to present you with a marketing plan that's going to make you happy right now, or a marketing plan that's going to get you the highest possible price based on evidence-based data that we've done? What do you want? I can give you either. They need to know that cheap agents don't have exclusive rights on cheap campaigns. You can do that too. The next one is, this is a beautiful thing to say to vendors when you're at a listing presentation or when you're managing them. Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, I'd like you to understand that your home is on the market in competition, not in isolation. What about when a vendor says, let's quietly just put it on the internet and see how we go? Say, sure. They say, can we just do it for 2 weeks quietly? Say, absolutely. I just wouldn't do it the first 2. Why is that? Very simple. Do you think when Coca-Cola or Nike launch a new product that they say, let's keep it a secret, we'll just put it on the website, and if no one finds out about it, we'll then let them know? Or do you realize that they have an understanding that they have only one chance at having a good first impression, and they call it, in commercial world, a product launch? You as a real estate agent are product launchers. You launch new products, which are houses. There are other houses on the market which are like other products. So your job as a real estate agent is to help those vendors shine, and in a buyer's marketplace, the way you help a vendor shine is better pricing, better presentation, and better marketing. And Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, that's what I'm doing for you right now. The other agent is cheaper by 0.05%. They're cheaper. Well, let me tell you, the cheapest agent is the agent that gets you the highest price, if you really think about it. The cheapest agent is the one that gets you the highest price. Let me also tell you that any agent that loses a listing because the other agent was 0.5% cheaper, basically what was happening is this. Listen very carefully. That vendor thought that you weren't going to get them any extra money, and they went with the cheaper one because they thought, you're shit, you're shit, you're shit, who's the cheapest? Right? But what happens if you're shit, but man, you needed a standing ovation. You just were a rock star. And I actually think to myself that you might get me 5% more in the figure. So even if you're 0.5% dearer, I'm still 4.5% better off going with you. That's what you've got to do to be able to leave them with a story that they are going to be better off. So essentially, you've got to understand one of your key goals at a listing presentation is to absolutely show them that by going with you, potentially they are going to be getting 5%, 10% more. Because then, no matter what the discount the other agent is, you can overcome it because they're not interested in the cheapest agent. They're interested in the agent that's going to get them the most money in the back of the pockets. The next one is, I love this one. It sounds like corny, but just try it on a buyer. A buyer says, no, but it's only another 10K. It's not life-threatening. You're not even going to think about it in 20 years' time. It's a nice, easy thing because it's not life-threatening. Another thing is, this concept of overpricing in the first 2 weeks. That's like the opposite. You're overpricing in the first 2 weeks, which what you're basically doing is overpricing when all the buyers are there, and you realise that what we're doing is educating the other people to sell their houses because they're coming to ours, and then when all the buyers disappear, you drop the price. That's like the opposite strategy. Next, no sale, no charge. I've got to tell you, for me, no sale, no charge, I reckon it's a great strategy if you don't want to sell your house. Think about that concept. No sale, no charge. Let's compare it to other industries. Let's compare it to the medical world, which I've been involved in. It's like going to a doctor and the doctor saying to you, listen, don't worry, I'm going to give you rituximab. This is, it's a pretty good value drug, and I know that you've got cancer, and I think we're going to give it a try, but don't worry, if it doesn't work, I'm not going to charge you. Or better still, flying with an airline, going with an airline somewhere. Turn around and say, listen, we're going to fly you out with budget 1, 2, 3 airlines. We guarantee you, if you don't get there, you don't pay. I'd like to let you know that this slide here is some of the people that are involved in a project, critical behaviours of 7-figure agents. We studied what people that were writing $1 million a year and over, plus some of the CEOs of the groups. These people here are writing 7-figure numbers. During the lunch break, if you go to the News Limited stand, I think it's 46, 43, I think it's 46, we will give everyone that comes over there a free copy. They're on a USB stick, 7 hours of audio, questions of what is it that the top people are doing. Yes, it's free. We are giving it to everyone. We thought, should we do balloons? Should we do like iPads? Should we do coffees? No, let's spend our time and energy on this. Come to our stand. I think we've got 1,000. There's 2,500 or 3,000 people here. Not everyone's going to get one. So come over there and we'll give you one. Those that miss out, it's very simple. Through the website, we will let you know how to get one. Seth Godin. Heard of him? By the way, let me just tell you, on scripts and dialogues, don't use them at home. Only the other day, Madeline, my 8-year-old daughter, said to me, Daddy, just because you're talking fast and loud doesn't mean I'm going to listen to you. Seth Godin, he's got 2 daughters too. He's an American marketing guru. He's an interesting fellow. He takes his 2 daughters and they do a tour of France, rural France, and the kids, they're young, for the first time ever, they see real cows. They've seen them on TV, they've seen them on video, they've seen them in books, but all of a sudden they're driving and they see their first cow. They look through the window, it was only 5 metres away. It was remarkable, remarkable. And here's the concept. It's very simple. The first cow was remarkable. The word remarkable, able to be remarked on. Remember that. The second cow, not so remarkable. The third cow, not so remarkable. After the 100th cow, the kids are bored. And here's the metaphor. If you don't become a purple cow, you will become invisible. If you haven't worked that out, there is an oversupply of real estate agents for the amount of business there is. In fact, the IBIS studies show this $59,000 is the average amount of money that a real estate agent earned last financial year. They're the brutal facts. $59,000. The truth is this, that unless you become a purple cow, stand out, become the agent that's a 7-figure agent, run an attraction business, you are just going to be one of the people that wakes up every morning saying that this is a hard slog, because that is reality. That there is a small group of people that are writing all the money, and then there is a huge group of people that wake up year in, year out struggling. That's reality. I'd like to share this concept, the attraction model. The attraction business model is far more effective than interrupting strangers who don't want to talk to you. Seriously, this wacko thing, go door knock on 50 people each day, 250 people a week, 1,000 people a month. Man, but they don't want to talk to you. Do you think 7-figure agents, do you think that Jason's going to come on stage here, Jason's going to tell you that he wakes up and does cold calling every day? Do you think that the people that are writing $1 million a year go out and do cold calling? They run attraction businesses, gang. They pull listings towards them. They don't push out as much. So I'm going to tell you and urge you to become the attraction business model, because this is what it looks like. The attraction business model is a 7-figure income, $1 million per year. That's what these people write. As you can see, you start off, you're 52,000 and you work upwards. $1 million, the 7-figure agents. On tompanos.com.au, I send out, again, no charge, weekly videos purely on attraction business. Subscribe there, and this is basically what people are doing to get people to know them, to become the purple cows of their marketplace. I'd like to share 2 measuring devices that I think are absolutely critical. Don't get me wrong, Steve Jobs, he was an amazing human being. Amazing human being. There are millions of apps out there, but I got to tell you that I live my life by 2 apps, and they are the group certificate and a set of scales. Reality. They don't lie. The group certificate is your year. Your year is made up of your days. Your days are your life in miniature. It tells you the truth. The set of scales reflects on what you eat and how you move. They are 2 measuring devices that I say make these your top 2 apps. I'd also like to let people know who's been in real estate for less than 1 or 2 years, hands up. Your seminar can end in the next 10 minutes. You don't have to be good. You just got to be there. Get in early. Work hard. Stay later. That is the formula for year 1. You don't have to be good. You just got to be there. As time goes by, you will be less there because you're more good. Vital behaviours. I got to tell you, I work for News Limited. I'll walk around the building, there'll be some guy there, he'll have manila folders under his arm, had an Armani suit, he'll look $1 million on his iPhone, BlackBerry, talking 1,000 miles an hour. I've got to tell you, Looking good will get you halfway up the corporate ladder. But 2012 is not about the plastic work. 2012 is about vital behaviours. And when you listen to the critical behaviours of seven-figure agents, you'll realise that every job has got a set of steps which are vital behaviours. In real estate, we clearly know that listing opportunities is a vital behaviour. We clearly know that getting VPA is a vital behaviour. Why? Because if vendors don't have skin in the game, they are not commercially and emotively committed to the sale. That is a vital behaviour. I got to fly through this, eh? Alrighty, I'm going to fly through this. Okay, it can't be half an hour. There's no way. Is it? Okay, we're flying through. Let me finish, guys, on this point very quickly. Who's come to an AREC or a training session in the past? Hands up. Who has gone to a session and after the session done exactly the same thing they did before the session? Hands up. Okay. Here's the reason why, gang. It's very strange. Why is it that people, year in, year out, go to courses, make all the promises in the world, but in reality, they go back to their normal life 3 or 4 or 5 days after the event? Let me tell you, willpower is overrated. If willpower was the answer, everyone would have a six-pack and be living in a $7 million home. But that's not reality. The reality is that people struggle with food, they struggle with money, they struggle with health, they struggle with their time management, they struggle with everything. And I'm about to tell you that there are 2 things that I'd like you to understand that are absolutely critical behaviours in you, making sure that this is a golden opportunity for you to actually change your life. And that is this: do not rely on willpower and discipline. Rely on 2 factors that change experts have said are the clear evidence-based data that shows works. Here they are. Number 1, your reference group. Full stop. The people around you highly influence what you do. They take heroin addicts, they put them in a house living with people that are normal, going to work, doing normal things. They go off heroin straight away. Full stop. Vietnam War. 60,000 people went there. They came back. Guess what happened? Within a week, they were off because they went back to their reference group, their parents, their families, their husbands and wives. Okay? Now let me also tell you another thing. That someone that comes out of jail today goes back to their reference group, they start using straight away. So the people around you highly influence your behaviour. So what I'm saying is stop hanging out with the people at the back of the office telling that the market's tough, smoking, don't worry, it's all too hard, the other agents are dropping their commissions. That is not your reference group. Your reference group is people that take 2 days out to come here to get better, to start learning what it is to write $1 million a year, hanging out with people that want to grow. The second thing I'd like to let you know is, apart from the reference group, is this: your environment. It's so critical. It's so critical. I myself, I'm vulnerable too. I slip in. Let me also tell you this. Let me tell you that on a Friday night, I know I've got auctions the next Saturday. I'll go out for drinks to the winery in Surrey Hills. I'll have a couple of drinks. And what will happen? It'll be 6 o'clock, 6:30, 7 o'clock. And you know what? After I've had 3 or 4 drinks, guess what? Willpower's not there. And then I'll go into the bathroom at around 8:30 and I'll pull out my phone and have a look at my phone. And when I look at my phone, I'll have 8 missed calls. Wow. I wonder who that is. It's the same person. Shit, we'll be face to face soon. I've got auctions the next day. First one's at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11. I've got to drop the car. Oh, wow, how's this car going to get home tonight? So I've learnt out. Why put myself in that situation? No, I don't. What I do is very simple. I do this. On Friday morning at 8 o'clock, when I haven't had a glass of drink, I will drop Madeline off to gymnastics and say, Maddie, today, after school, I'll also be picking you up from gymnastics. So don't hang around and tell Alana that you're going to go with her. Stay here, I'll be picking you up. So it's 6 o'clock, let's fast forward. I'm at the winery, I've had my second drink. They say, Tom, another drink? I've got no choice, because at 6:30 there's an 8-year-old kid sitting in a scout hall by herself. So I set up an environment where I don't need motivation. So basically what I'm saying, if you don't want to slip, don't hang around in slippery spots. Guys, I'm time short. Can you hang with me for 5 minutes? Can I get a show of hands if you're going to hang with me for 5 minutes? All righty. We're going to stick with 5. Okay. I want to share with you some rituals that have transformed my life. Full stop. Here they are. Take them down. Join the 5 a.m. club. Great club to be part of. Why? Because you get up at 5 o'clock. You have a chance to plan, a chance to exercise. You have a chance to actually start the day with momentum and energy. It is a great club. Hook up at Twitter at 5 o'clock every morning with me. I'd love to have a conversation with you. The next thing is 10 before 10. 10 prospecting calls before 10 a.m. every day. That ritual alone will transform your next 12 months. Full stop. That's 50 people a week. 10 before 10. Next ritual, Saturday afternoon callbacks. It is a big secret. Guess what happens? There's a lot of deals going on in the afternoon. People have been seeing properties. Don't wait till Monday. Saturday, get stuck into it. There are people making decisions and you can intercept those decisions. Critical behavior. Next one, Twitter, YouTube boosters. You can have AREC every day at your house free of charge because of YouTube. Just type in Robin Sharma, Tom Hopkins, sitting there having your porridge. You can watch a YouTube video. Awesome stuff. Daily exercise. If you could get exercise, put it in a bottle, you could sell it for millions. It gives you energy. It pumps you up. It helps you with stress. It is one of the best things, and it helps you become an attraction agent because people are drawn to that. Next thing is yoga. Fantastic. I do it 3 times a week. I do it at Burwood. I walk in there. I keep to myself. Everyone in that class is a weirdo. I do not feel like I'm part of them. I go in, but it still makes me feel good. Never begin a day till it's finished in writing. Never begin a day till it's finished in writing. Purple cow. Start becoming that purple cow in your marketplace. Next, expired language. Don't use it. And I will give you all those scripts and dialogues on that blog. Go on there. There's about 28 of them, plus the 30 laws of becoming an attraction agent. We'll send them to you. Daily journal. Get a journal. Get an expensive one. Why? Because the things you put in there are valuable. What do you write in there? Your goals. Why? Because they're a daily advertisement to yourself. Another thing you write in there is problems, challenges. Why? Because when you take the challenge from your head to paper, during the gap, the space, comes the solution. Gratitude, writing down what you're grateful for. It makes you feel lucky. I've got to tell you, there are 7 billion people on this planet, and 6 billion people would swap spots with me and you in an instant. Full stop. Someone in Ethiopia, someone in a chemo ward right now. Steve Jobs would do anything to be at AREC this year. Take risks. Someone said to me, Tom, aren't you nervous? I said, why? He said, the economy's had it, the market's gone. I said, so what? And he goes, so what? You'll lose your job. So what? You lose your job, you won't have money, your wife will leave you. I said, so what? Could be a good thing. He said, you lose your wife, you've lost that, you won't have money, you're gone, you won't be able to eat. I said, eat? I'll just walk down the aisles at Coles and eat the grapes for free. That won't, we can't starve in this country. So you can be bulletproof, you can feel confident. Which brings me to this point, and that is I'm going to finish off here on the gift. This is my second AREC presentation. My first one was with Matt Steinwade in 2004, and Matt's just sitting up here, and he's just like a really nice person. And I've got to tell you that one of the USPs of being a good estate agent actually is to be a nice person. It's an incredible weapon just to actually be nice and not to sort of act the way that you think you should be acting and being more yourself. But the gift here is this, that in 2004, I got into publishing from News Limited. I was very excited because what had happened is I had a traveling job and my wife couldn't fall pregnant. And as you know, conception of children is not a spectator sport. So it was exciting to get a job where I could just walk, it's very close. It was 5 minutes from my home. I got this job working down the road, and it was really good. Got the interview where Vogue was. It's Wentworth Courier, and we also own Vogue, so there was all these hot girls in the interview, and I thought, shit, this is a good job. I'm taking it. Okay, full start. So we take this job, and 2004 was a great year. 2004 was a super year. I'll tell you why. Because 2004, I got a bonus that I couldn't believe. Invested it wisely in property. I was loving media. I restructured my team. 2004 was one of the best years of my life. 2005 was even better. Because 2005, I had a new team, and we were working efficiently. I got smart in my job, and I got a bonus. Again, I couldn't believe. 2006, I started the year incredibly because I was 18% over budget. Essentially, what was going to happen is all I had to do is show up, and I was getting another huge bonus. Having a holiday in Fiji in 2006, just before Australia Day, the sun was going down. I was looking at Madeline playing, and I thought to myself, you know what, all these training courses I've done, everything, luck, whatever you want to call it, this had just worked out. And then it all turned to shit. It all turned to shit. So in March 2006, out of the blue, I got diagnosed with lymphatic cancer, and chemo never worked, radio never worked. So here I was, 37 years of age, married, one child, and these things were in my body. 2006 continued with treatment, and they put me on a trial drug from Roche Pharmaceutical, and that drug started to work. So whereas chemo and radio never worked. So 2006, cancer cells are disappearing. 2007, they were gone. They kept me on drugs for another 2 years because they said to me, it's in your lymphatic system. We know there are cells hanging around. But what happened is every scan, there was no cancer. 2008, again, the scans came in clear, but they kept saying to me, Tom, expect a relapse. 2009, again, no relapse. 2010, no relapse. 2011, my doctor said to me, Tom, I actually think this is coming close to the end of the journey. If you can get through the November scan, I'm actually thinking it's over. And that scan happened, and that was clear, and I'd like to let you know that that's what the cancer looked like that was in one part of the body. And I want to finish with this point, that some of the best gifts sometimes come very badly wrapped. And the reason I share this story with you is I learnt a few things. I learnt the following. There is not an endless number of tomorrows left, that you should live each day as if it's your last, because one day you're going to be right. I also learnt this. I learnt that, isn't it exciting, the fact that by changing your thoughts, by changing your thinking, the fact that you can control your thoughts means that you can actually control your life. See, you can't control events, and CBT therapy, which is basically underpins what Anthony Robbins, Robin Sharma, any positive motivation speaker will talk to you, is basically underpinned by CBT, which is that your life is about events versus beliefs. The market. Let's talk about that. The market's the market. Full stop. It's not good or bad. It's just a thing. Your beliefs are things that you can control. So your response can be good or bad. So this is why I'm excited, because as a human being, you have got control over your beliefs, the content of your thoughts. And I'm excited because today can be the day that you drop the past today, that you cut the bullshit story that you carry with you, and you say, enough of those lies that I have repeated over in my head that have become my reality, and you can walk away changing the story of your life. And the minute you start behaving from a position that you've got everything in your life, magic will occur in your life because you act and behave in that way. And if you think that's exciting, give us a big round of applause right now, guys, because I've got to tell you, that is damn exciting.
Mr. Tom Panos. All right. Now, Tom, we just heard from Donald Trump Trump about living passion and being passionate about what you do. You are the absolute epitome of someone who is incredibly passionate at what you do. Mr. Tom Panos, all right.